my husband has been diagnosed with cluster B personality disorder, which is a cluster of different personality traits.
Obviously, aside from my physical stuff, I've got apparently what they call cluster B, or mixed personality disorder, cluster B personality disorder, which is borderline personality disorder.
Histrionic.
Narcissistic personality, I can believe that one.
And antisocial.
Oh yeah, and I've got rage control issues apparently.
From one day to the next, I really do not know who he's going to be, and it can flip in seconds, just like that. You know, I really find this one of the most difficult things to deal with, because it's very emotionally draining on me. It probably is on him as well.
From what I understand, the way it's been explained to me is I don't have like borderline personality disorder. What I have are traits of the same sorts of things that people with borderline personality get. For people that have got narcissistic personality disorders, I get bits of that, but not all the time. Yeah, what I get is I'll be quite normal myself, going on doing what I do, and then bang, I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing, or I'll start having go at people in the street for no apparent reason whatsoever, and then because of violent with it as well, I was like trying to hit people with my walking stick and throwing things at people in supermarkets, and then 5 minutes later I'm all upset because I've done it and I didn't even know that I did it.
Because of the cluster B thing my husband has, it can cause him to be different people. Obviously there's my husband, who is very caring and kind and really sweet.
Because I get upset, I get anxiety, and I have panic attacks, and
we call it Rose because my husband used to get junk mail, and it used to say Rose rather than his proper name. But also when he becomes Rose, he's like a little girl, little child, scared, terrified. That's usually how I end up communicating with him, and this is usually who he becomes when he has a panic attack, and I just have to comfort him or comfort her and let her know she's safe and I'm not going to let anybody hurt her.
I'll be in the middle of a supermarket or something like that, and I'm freaking out because there's all these people around me, and I'll burst into tears. I'm 42 years old, right? I'm 18 stone, and I'm not a little bloke, and I'll be in the corner crying like a 5-year-old little girl, begging for my wife. Where are you? And I'm getting really, upset, and she has to come and cuddle me, and I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is.
But then there's this guy that we call Rob that can come out sometimes, and he's the total opposite.
This is like a really, it's difficult for me to experience. I've always had anger issues, I suppose. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to get upset at school and throw things at people, and then during my early teens, I was fine. Probably all the rugby and weight training take all your aggression out that way. And then, I know I was a late teen, I used to get into fights and get angry with people. And it was my brother used to call it my Rottweiler mode, because I used to, I would go out, have a few drinks, and next person that looked at me funny would get chinned. You know, I just wanted to kill them. And then that all went away again, and then it all sort of comes back now. And now, like with my first wife, I used to get really angry and have arguments with her, and it was one of the things reason why she left. She said, you know, she was scared of me because of how I got. And I thought I got it under control, you know, and then now it's almost like it's back again. It's like this thing that's in me, and my wife and I have sort of started talking about different. It's not split personality, but aspects of my personality that I can't really control.
I would say he's very violent in nature, actually. We've never hit a woman, but he can be violent. He's very aggressive. He's arrogant. He pinpoints on your weaknesses, and he'll really belittle you. It's really not fun to see. And he's the one I'm almost glad that he didn't come out as much as he used to, because he's made me want to leave my husband so many times. And when he comes out and he starts belittling me, it gets harder and harder each time to stay.
I'm threatening people in the supermarket. You know, I've picked up cans of bloody soup and thrown them at them, and grabbed people by the throat and things like that. And jokingly we call that guy Rob, and you know, the little girl we call Rose, because I used to get junk mail to Rose Campbell. You know, so we jokingly called him Rob. But this other guy, which is Rob, just a random name, we called him Rob. And he does things that I don't even remember doing. I mean, that's the weird thing. Apparently he's told my wife that I have never loved her, you know, and things like that. You know, it's apparently I do things all the time as Rob, you know, that she's always telling me that, you know, I got like this and I got like that and I did this and I don't remember any of it. Other times I do remember it, and it's like, you remember those adverts for, you know, the relationships where the lads, you know, apparently, you know, forcing his girlfriend to have sex and stuff, and then you sort of, the camera pulls back and there's that guy banging on the glass. Yeah, that's how it is. I can see what I'm doing and who I'm doing it to, and there's like me sitting back there going, oh my god, I can't stop myself from doing anything. And the crazy thing, you just don't know what is going to set this off. You know, it could be, I remember one time my wife not putting the plug in the sink when she was running the hot water, and I lost it. You know, I was like so angry with her, and I was getting mad, and I threatened her, and then I started telling her I wanted to leave, and I was effing and blind, and you know, and it's like, that's what is going on. All she'd run the hot water. But she hadn't put the plug in yet. She was just waiting for the hot water to heat up. How can she live with something like that? You know, how and I don't want to live with it. How can I possibly expect her to live with it? You know, and all the other crap that I do, you know, and how can I expect my family to put up with stuff like that? You know, I don't know. I mean, who am I?
I do wonder if I am doing the right thing, because I haven't been trained to deal with most of the situations I have to deal with on a daily basis or weekly basis or whatever.
Am I doing the right thing by letting her look after me? Am I doing the right thing in how I'm interacting with the you know, mental health professionals, you know, like psychiatrists and that just keep telling me everything's, you know, all in my head. Well, my physical problems are apparently all in my head as well. Am I doing the right thing by letting myself be here and be a burden to my wife? I mean, the number of times I've had arguments with her and told her that I want her to leave. I've even like flown into a rage and really sort of, you gotta go, leave or get out. I don't want you here, because I don't want. Yeah, I don't want her having to put up with this and have to look after me.
When my husband's having a panic attack, the gut instinct for me is keep him calm, keep myself calm, make sure there's not too many people crowding around us, because that would just make the situation worse. And that's all I can think to do. I just hope I am doing the right thing and the way I talk to him is right. Because when he's having a panic attack, I seem to talk down to him a little bit as if he's a child, but it's almost like he is turning into a child. And I do wonder sometimes if that's the right thing to do. And sometimes I get really strict as well with him, you know, and think, am I doing the right thing or am I doing the wrong thing? Because you're not given any training.
It's like my wheelchair. I don't use my wheelchair because I just can't stand the idea of being in my wheelchair, and it's the same with my mental problems, is that I can't stand the idea of not being in control of what's going on there, and having my wife have to put up with that. So I'm almost sort of trying to protect her and want her to get away from it, you know. It's, yeah, every day I wonder whether I should let her do this. Should I allow this sort of to carry on?
Am I doing the right thing by being my husband's carer? Because I originally thought I've been my husband's carer because family can't do it because they've got their own problems. Other family members are starting their own family and so on, and so I thought I should be best person to do it, because not only is he my husband, he's my best friend, so I know him inside and out, but at the same time I'm thinking, am I too close to be his carer? And am I sometimes feeding into his problems?
Depends what you mean by the right thing, because a lot of the time I feel like I just want to be left alone. You know, I just want to deal with this sometimes on my own, and everyone keeps telling me, hey, you got to go and see Mind, or you got to go and see a psychiatrist, you got to do CBT. I've done CBT, rubbish, you know, complete bloody twaddle. You know, I just leave me alone to get on with it. I'll deal with it in my own time, in my own way. And it's almost like you're forced. You've got to do it now. You've got to get better instantly. And it's like, well, I don't want to get better instantly, thank you very much. Just leave me alone and I'll deal with it. And I'll do things at my pace in little steps. You know, but then at the same time I'm thinking, is that right? Is it the right thing to do? Because am I just not facing up to what's going on? You know, I say facing up, I don't even know what's going on half the time. But
when he's having these panic attacks, I do wonder whether the way I'm talking to him is correct. Am I doing the right thing? You know, when he has his seizures, am I doing the right thing just by making sure he's safe but not restraining him? Because you should never ever restrain someone when they're having a fit. You should make sure they're safe but not restrain them. So I've been told. But
yeah, you wonder, should I not be going to see every single psychiatrist I can, or every single psychologist I can, and going on every single course I can, and you know, trying to help this and trying to help that. And I mean, I went on the expert patient program. I don't call it something else now. It's about like dealing with your own sort of mental health. And I freaked out when 4 people walked into him and had a panic attack and ended up screaming in the corner, and I had to leave. So I'm not even sure that I'm ready to do the right thing, if that's what the right thing is. You know, it's difficult.
There's so many things I wonder whether I'm doing right. You need a handbook, I think. When you become a carer, there needs to be a handbook given to you by the NHS. There you go, NHS. Do a handbook. Go to Carers UK, talk to them. There's enough of them that have been carers themselves. Do a handbook together. There you go. Well, yeah. This does go through my mind quite a lot, especially if my husband is having an episode, as I call it, especially if it's a Rob episode, because like I've said before, Rob he's the soul destroying. Sometimes I wonder if worth putting myself through all this. You know, it sounds really selfish, but that's how I feel sometimes.
I've thought about whether, you know, I should leave. I mean, I'm always telling her to leave because I don't want her to have to have all this crap. She needs to go away and have a life. You know what I mean? She needs to have. This is not having a life. But you know, I do one. When I've thought about killing myself, you know, not just because I'm depressed and all the rest of it. Just because it would just take the burden off of everybody else. You know, so that's one way for me to leave, is to just not be here.
And other days, you know, I don't feel trapped. If anybody is thinking that, I do not feel trapped at all. I decided to be my husband's carer, and I'm going to stay, but there is days where I feel like leaving.
I suppose everybody thinks about it at some point, but everyone thinks about leaving or trying to change the situation. I think that's what, when people say, oh, do you think about leaving? It's about changing that situation in the easiest way possible, rather than doing the hard work and going through psychiatry. Just leave, you know, or get her to leave some way, you know. It's easier, just, you know, everything will be sort of sorted then, won't it? It's not fair to my wife, as you know, that all of this is going on. I mean, obviously, you know, everyone does. Oh, you didn't ask to be sick. It's like, but it's not the point. She's having to put up with this. Like, obviously she looks after me, but it's so stressful. You know, for her, you know, she doesn't know one day to the next whether I'm going to be, you know, freaking out, or whether it's 1 minute to the next. You know, sometimes.
Like I've said on one of the other clips, my husband has this personality called Rob, who comes out sometimes, and he's very soul destroying, and I do worry that he's going to come out again one day and just really destroy me completely, almost, because he is soul destroying. But also dealing with my husband's mental health is having a knock-on effect on my own mental health, because there's a lot of stuff going on in here, and it's really difficult to talk about, actually.
And she is slowly going bonkers. She's got her own problems to deal with as well. It's not just, you know, it's not just a single entity looking after me. So she's got, you know, her own anxiety problems. She's got, you know, she has sleeping problems and stuff. But all she, you know, putting up with me is just more bricks on top of her load, and it's pushing her down and it's breaking her, and I can see it happening. And then to know that I'm doing that to her, you know what I mean? This feeds back into my own sort of problems and guilt and frustrations and anxieties, and then because I'm feeling like that, I feel even worse for her because I know what it's doing to her, and it's this never-ending cycle that is. I just feel like it's going to sooner or later break both of us, and I don't know which one of us is going to snap first.
Yes, my husband also gets non-epileptic seizures. Virtually every doctor we've seen so far is saying it's caused by something going on in his head because of his anxiety or PTSD. So you'll know it is a non-epileptic seizure. These seizures are not nice to see. Again, they're something that when my husband first started having them, he would have a seizure. I would deal with it as the situation arose, you know. I'd be calm, make sure he's calm, and tell the ambulance men what I needed to tell them. But for a while, I was having dreams about these, and it was rerunning through my mind as well, and that was not easy to deal with. It's come a little bit easier to deal with now because he has so many of them, unfortunately. Yeah, he's having a seizure. Yeah.
He's resting on his own arm now.
Like I mentioned before, he has panic disorder.
Well, I mean, on top of all the rest of it, I've got to put up with panic disorder.
He also has, he's been diagnosed with PTSD.
PTSD. How the hell did I get PTSD? I mean, I've been through a lot of crap in my life, but it's not like I've been out to war or anything silly like that. But apparently that's not what it's about. Apparently PTSD is about just emotional, post-traumatic stress. It's about traumatic stress, dealing with traumatic stress, and the problems you have dealing with it afterwards. So
it's not just people that have been in the war that get this, it's people that have been through a lot of traumatic events. But the panic disorder and the PTSD can also lead into acrophobia, which is fear of leaving the house and being in an open space where there's other people.
Agoraphobia, which in itself sort of comes from the anxiety and the panic disorder, because
I've experienced this myself when I was a lot younger, and it is a very scary condition to have. One of the other things I have in common with my husband is anxiety. He has anxiety episodes, as I call them. Sometimes when we're out shopping, which is not the best place to start having anxiety, but it's because of the other things it's causing him to have that as well.
You get the idea of going out and then having a seizure or having a panic attack or something makes you anxious and scared about going out.
You alright? Shit.
To his head.
Yeah. Oh god, I can't think off the top of my head. It's on gabbling.
Sorry. Sorry.
Hey, it's alright, it's alright.
And then somebody comes and knocks on the door, and it gets to the point where, or the telephone rings. Yeah, what's happening is what's on the other end of the phone, who's outside the door, and the littlest of things can set you off and make you start panicking and stuff like that. They're really sort of awful things to have to deal with, actually. In some respects, more than like having my seizures and stuff, it is having this sudden, overwhelming fear coursing through your body, and then not knowing why. You freak out. I mean, sometimes when I panic, I'm screaming, I'm shouting, I'm clawing at people. I want to get away from people, and it's another burden on my wife, because apparently when I have my really bad panic attacks, she's the only person I recognise, and I mean, I've been known to hide behind her. I'm not. I keep saying I'm not a little bloke. I'm 18 stone. I'm 5'8", mate, so I'm well overweight, but. I used to play rugby, and I'm an aggressive type of bloke. And my wife's only 5'3", and I hide behind her, crying and screaming, and I'm hiding, and I won't go near anybody. And if anyone does come near me, I'm like against the wall, clawing to get away from people. It just freaks you out.
At the end of the day, if I'm being honest, it's actually seeing my husband have like mini breakdowns, panic attacks. Even though I look like I'm being calm and I'm trying to keep him calm, inside it is a bit soul destroying, actually, seeing your husband turn into this person you don't recognise. It's really difficult.
Struggle with most would really be not knowing what's going to happen from one day to the next, and being just consciously aware of the burden I have to put on my wife and my family and friends. It's the not knowing, I think, more than anything else, of what's going to happen, not just now but in the future.
I do wonder if these problems become worse and aren't controlled properly, am I going to be able to cope? Because like I said earlier, there's days where I do just want to leave. But yeah, am I going to be able to cope if things get harder? Because I'm struggling now. If I'll be honest, I am struggling already. And I know there's other carers that cope with a lot more, but I am struggling with what I'm able to do at the moment.
I'm not even coping now. Do I look like I'm coping? I talk to my cuddly toys. This is Bob, by the way. No, I'm not going to be able to cope. I don't think anybody's going to be able to cope. I'm not going to. My wife is certainly not coping. And this is now. Is this just going to get worse? No, I don't think I'm going to be able to cope. The second you tell someone you've got a mental health problem, they're like, oh, you're a mental case. Well, quite frankly, I know I'm not a mental case because my psychiatrist told me so. It does help because I talk to my wife, I talk to my parents, occasionally I talk to my brothers, just to get it out. There's
been several occasions where I've had low points and I've ended up going on like Carers UK forum and saying how I'm feeling, and straight away the response is, look, you're not alone, this is normal to feel this way, don't feel guilty, we're all in this together, we're all here for you.
I talk to my wife all the time, and I try to explain why I'm feeling certain things, or how, why I'm feeling it, but at least how I'm feeling. And she says it has to go both ways. There's no point having the person you care for and your carer. The carers and the person they care for, they have to work together as a team. And so talking backwards and forwards is a must.
It is good to talk, especially mental health. We need to talk more about mental health. I think the more we talk about it, the less scared we're going to be of it, and the less stigma that's going to be attached to it.
But either way, it's time that we all start talking about mental health and get it out there and get rid of the stigma. It's good to talk. Somebody's writing something now. Stop this. Stop the stigma. Apparently that's a slogan, but I can't read the writing. It's terrible. Stop the stigma and learn to write properly.